experts who are highly trained in the use of biological weapons. Their instructions were to poison me through inhaled chemicals that would paralyze my brain within 3 months. This was the intent and the purpose of.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, as you know, you have heard the clip that we have begun the video with. That was a statement delivered yesterday by the former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua on matters his assassination plot and also on matters his arrest. Now, the issue of Rigathi Gachagua is something that I have had to sit down, reason, do thorough research and analysis to come up and do this video. Now, I mean, a threat on the life of Rigathi Gachagua is not something that we should take lightly right now, because this threat might trigger something that, I mean, this country is not ready to deal with that at the moment. The political atmosphere of the Republic of Kenya is currently in a turmoil. And if something bad like death or paralysis happens to Rigathi Gachagua, fingers will be directly pointed to William Ruto, the President of the Republic of Kenya. And what will that instigate? It will instigate the rise of violence, which is something that we condemn to the latter. But allow me to take you back to the year 1992. We had a man from the Mount Kenya region who really fought so much for the multipartyism of the Republic of Kenya. The second liberation, regarded to as the president that Kenya never had. That was Kenneth Matiba. Kenneth Matiba was arrested by the Moise regime. And that's why I see relevance in Gachaguas' statements. When Kenneth Matiba was arrested by Moise regime together with Charles Rubia, they were held incommunicado. And during the time that they were in captivity, Matiba experienced, he had a series of strokes which struck him and made Matiba a cabbage that led to the death of Matiba years later. Why am I saying this? Recently, Rigathi Gachagua told us that they were planning to use biochemicals to paralyze him and to make sure that his death happens in the next 3 months. Now, those are clear, wild accusations that they have merits in their own, because Rigathi Gachagua is a man who is a consumer of intelligence. And I have told you again and again that Rigathi Gachagua served as a paramilitary police officer. He served as a paramilitary police officer and came to a point of becoming the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya. The man has people within the government of William Ruto that feed him credible intelligence, because if it's not for the credible intelligence that he is fed, on Sunday, Rigathi Gachagua would have been arrested that Sunday night, because they had laid traps on different roads in Murang'a to try and track down Rigathi Gachagua so that they can take him into custody. But due to the intelligence that he had received, he was able to outplay and outmaneuver the DCI and the National Intelligence Services officers that were deployed to take Gachagua into custody. Now back to Matiba. While Matiba was arrested and while he was in custody, Matiba was given some drugs. And these are the drugs that led to Matiba having a stroke that killed him. Are we together? People have alleged several times that if Matiba had not had the series of strokes that he had after the 1992 general election, Matiba would come again in the year 1997 and he would have won the election that year. Remember, in 1992, when multipartyism came in, Matiba ran for the presidency against Moi, and he became number 2 after Moi. He lost with a very small margin, but it's due to the disagreement between Matiba and Mzee Jaramogi Oginga Odinga and Mwai Kibaki, because the three of them were presidential candidates in that race, is what led Matiba not to win that election. And if they had sat down and come into some certain agreement before the year 1997, Matiba would have actually won the election in the elections of the year 1997. But he wasn't able to do that because Matiba had started experiencing what? The strokes and the sickness that had been planted in him. Remember, Moi and his regime, they were people that deployed different techniques to deal with who? To deal with opposition to his government. And it was not only Matiba that was assassinated through implanting of, through the use of biological weapon. We also have another certain deputy president known as Josphat Karanja. Josphat Karanja, in the year 1997, before he was actually impeached, because he was meant to be impeached like tomorrow. The motion was to be tabled in the House of Parliament. Like, let's say today we are on Tuesday, tomorrow on Wednesday, that's when the motion was to be tabled. And that night, Josphat Karanja, being the vice president, who was very young, a very young man at the age of 37, he went ahead to resign from Moi's government. Reason being, he had credible intelligence on the plans that were being orchestrated by the Moi's regime on how to deal with him. And when Josphat Karanja left the government, he had planned to start preparing for the campaigns to vie for the presidency against Moi. And that is when the man, after 1 or 3 months after resigning from the government, Karanja started being sick, and that is the sickness that killed him. And now you couldn't tell me that that was a coincidence. That was an assassination that was plotted. It happens in long term. There are drugs designed by the Soviet Union back in the days that were used by the Moi regime to terminate these people. Josphat Karanja and Kenneth Matiba. Now, Rigathi Gachagua knows that the said way of assassination that was used back in the days can be used against him. And that is why he goes ahead to give out information to the public so that the public can anticipate if anything happens to him. And the reason he is doing this is for his own personal security, because he knows there is nothing that this government can't do. Let me tell you, a government that takes away the powers of the Attorney General as the principal legal advisor to the government, they take the seal from the office of the Attorney General and it's given to the State House Chief of Staff. What can that government not do? It's a question. And now Rigathi Gachagua knows they are doing everything, every word. Let me tell you, every word, every accusation, everything Gachagua does, it is scrutinized, and then intelligence is deployed to the offices of the Deputy President Kithure Kindiki currently, to the offices of the Cabinet Secretary of Interior Kipchumba Murkomen, on how to counter Rigathi Gachagua and to turn the ones of Rigathi Gachagua against him, so that when they come to deal with him, the people of Kenya will allow the government to do it, to go ahead with intimidating Gachagua and even planning what they are planning for him. Let me ask you a question. On Sunday, when Kithure Kindiki was referencing on the sentiments made by Rigathi Gachagua of the 2007 post-election violence in regards to the election of the 2027, Kithure Kindiki said some certain crucial intel, statements that you should take to account. And even Kipchumba Murkomen. He said, any person that threatens the peace and tranquility of the Republic of Kenya, any person that references, violence or plans violence for the future is in the year 2027 general election. Any person that references that there might be violence and compares it to 2007, then that person, there is no difference to them with Al-Shabaab, with bandits in the Rift Valley region, and with the criminal gangs that terrorize this country. What is done to terrorists? What is done to bandits? They are arrested, they are detained, and they are persecuted. That is what that's the message Kithure Kindiki was trying to send. Ya, huyu jamaa ni kama Al-Shabaab. So tukimshika tutaki kusikia kelele, maana tukishika Al-Shabaab ampigangi kelele. Huyu jamaa ni kama bandit. So tukifanya kitu kuhusiana na yeye, you shouldn't make noise. That is what they were trying to do. But you know what? I told you the man is a consumer of intelligence, and he has his own intelligence agents that are highly dispatched within Ruto's government. So taming Rigathi Gachaguas intelligence, that means like changing the whole system that Ruto and Gachagua put in place when they got in government. Because until now, half of the people that Gachagua left in government are still loyal to him. Police officers, and remember, this is a man that served as a police officer, a paramilitary officer. So you should understand, when he tells you his life is in danger, it's not a mere joke. And if they pull the stunt of assassinating Rigathi Gachagua in the way they did with one Kenneth Matiba and Josphat Karanja, then this country will lose its revolution again. Because since the year 1992 until the year 2002, for 10 years, Moi ruled without questions from a credible opposition. Because after the arrest of Matiba in 1992, Matiba became useless kwa sababu ya zile madawa walimweka, akapatiwa stroke artificials, zikakuja kumuua baadaye. After Matiba, there arose the young man Josphat Karanja. Karanja, the same thing happened to him the way it happened to Matiba. So, could it be the same ploy that is being deployed against Rigathi Gachagua at the moment? Because I tell you, once that this man's life is in danger, shouldn't be taken for granted. Because they play a very crucial role on what we should anticipate from this government and this regime ahead of the 2027 general election. It might not even happen now. But, you know, the NIS, it's one of the most credible intelligence unit that we have in Africa. And it's the one that is dealing with Gachagua. So, you don't know who is who within Gachagua's team. And you don't know what... that is why it reached a point, Rigathi Gachagua became so paranoid that he cannot even take tea or food that is not prepared by his wife. Tunaelewana? The only person that Gachagua believes anaweza mpikia chakula akule ni mkewe. Wadau, I tell you, you should be ready, because damn, this country is being fed to the dogs slow by slow. Leave your comment to the comment section on what you think on the assassination plot of Rigathi Gachagua. See you in our next video. This is the Kenyan Daily Report.